shouted my dad. I have a daughter. And I have a son, rejoiced his friend William. Hi, I'm Beverly. My friend Dean and I were born on the same day in Quebec. Our parents were friends and were sure that we would get married when we grew up. If only they'd known what it would lead to. Prepare some snacks and get ready to listen to my story. Best friends forever! Our favorite hangout was a golf club. Our parents spent the weekends there. That was also where we met Grace. Her parents also often came there and brought their daughter along.
Hi, I'm Beverly. Do you like to play golf?
Of course not. What if a ball hit my head? Dean, let's go watch cartoons in the break room. My friend abandoned me because of some upstart. That was the worst betrayal ever. Dean fell under her spell and started treating her like a queen. Ugh. Whatever. Marry Grace then. I'm not playing with you anymore. Luckily, Grace's parents soon moved to another city, and that nasty girl stopped coming to the golf club. I'm sorry I stopped hanging out with you because of Grace. She's gone now, so let's be friends again. I couldn't stay mad at him for long and soon forgave him. Things went back to normal. Dean and I went to high school. Our parents kept saying that one day we would get married. Mom, stop embarrassing me. We're just friends. Do you want to know a secret? I had actually been in love with Dean for a long time. Shh, don't tell anyone. One day, Dad had to urgently leave for work. He was a well-known psychiatrist, so that made me anxious. Had something bad happened? I soon forgot about it. After all, Dad came back in the morning, and my parents told me some cool news. Sweetie, we're going to Hawaii for the whole weekend. Hell yeah! Aloha! Where was my bikini? The best thing was that Dean and his parents were coming too. It was a sign. I decided to tell him about my feelings, wrote a love note, and planned to give it to him on the beach. Do you think it worked? If only. Guess who's a loser? That's right, I am. On the plane, I found out that Grace and her parents were coming too. Damn it, not that lying witch. It turned out her family was moving back to our city. Hi, everyone. Oh, Dean, you're so tall now. Hey, girlie, bring me some juice. Don't call me that. Also, I'm not working here. Beverly? I didn't recognize you in that outfit. Grace was a real beauty, but had a nasty personality. It was like she was stuffed with boogers. Ugh. And the worst part was that Dean forgot all about me again when he saw her. They spent the whole weekend together. Dean even told her our inside jokes. Don't mind me, I'll just bury myself in the sand, I guess. On our last evening there, our parents went to a restaurant and we hung out by the ocean. I was hoping Grace would leave Dean and me alone for a minute and I would give him my note. Guess who? Your face is too pretty to look sour. Dean, I've been meaning to tell you something for a long time. Yeah? It was a special moment, I could feel it. But Grace ruined everything. She appeared out of nowhere and pulled Dean away.
Let's go swimming.
It made my blood boil. I also got into the water to cool down a bit. However, I couldn't swim, so I just lay on an inflatable pool mattress. Before I knew it, I dozed off. When I woke up, I realized with horror that I had been carried too far from the shore. SOS! SOS! Help! The worst thing was that Grace saw that I was in trouble. She deliberately turned Dean away from the water and kissed him! OMG! At that moment, my heart broke. She led Dean away from the beach, and I was left all alone. The sky grew dark and it started to rain. I was shivering from the cold. If it hadn't been for a random surfer, I wouldn't have gotten out of there alive. I will never forgive you, Dean. When we came back home, I got sick and spent 2 weeks with a high fever. Dean didn't even visit me once. Whatever. Let him chase that wacko Grace like a loyal dog. When I recovered and came to school, I found out that Dean and Grace had become an item. That sweet couple was holding hands wherever they went. Besides that, a new kid called Kyle had been transferred to our school. Our classmates avoided him. No wonder, he was rude to everyone, dressed shabby, and had no manners. He even spray painted our lockers once. Now the stump isn't as ugly. What are you looking at, princess? Eat dirt, jerk. I was hoping I wouldn't have to interact with him much. But I was a loser, remember? It turned out that the new guy had failed all the tests. I was a diligent student, so I was asked to tutor him. Neither of us were thrilled. Okay, I don't like you and you don't like me either, but I need to explain this topic to you. Kyle suddenly snatched the textbooks from my hands, threw it in the trash, and recited all the formulas by heart. I almost fell over in surprise. What? I know this topic better than you. You have nothing to teach me. Just imagine, the new guy had failed the test on purpose. I tried to find out why, but Kyle just grinned and left. See you tomorrow, Professor. Ugh, that moron! Something was wrong with that new guy. At recess the next day, I saw the principal come up to Kyle and scold him.
I'm worried about your future. You failed all the tests.
Relax, Mr. D. Maybe you should loosen your tie.
You have no idea what that weirdo did next. He took scissors out of his backpack and cut off Mr. Downey's tie in front of the whole school. Everyone started to whisper, waiting for the principal to explode. His eyes were bloodshot. That was it. Kyle had gone too far.
You! How dare you! The nerve of you!
Well, what are you gonna do about it? Expel me?
Nonsense.
Of course not.
Everyone was stunned by his reaction. Most of all, Kyle himself. Oh, come on! After that incident, all sorts of rumors started to spread around the school. Everyone assumed Kyle was from some rich and influential family, and that was why he got off so easily, no matter how daring his antics were. One day at recess, I was watching Dean flirt with Grace in the hallway. I was following her around like a minion when I accidentally bumped into Kyle. Ouch! Watch where you're going. A stack of cash fell out of his pocket. Oh, wow! He was loaded. It wasn't just me who noticed. Grace whistled delightedly too.
Is Kyle really rich? Wow!
I tried to help Kyle pick up the money. Our hands even touched for a second. But then he frowned, crammed the bills in his pocket, and left.
Get out of my way!
What was up with him? The next day, I went for a walk after school because I knew that Dean and his parents were coming over. I didn't want to see that traitor. It soon grew dark, and I realized I'd wandered into a bad neighborhood. I didn't scare easily, but it was really creepy there, especially when some weirdo came up to me.
Hey, gorgeous. Are you lost?
No, I'm good.
You look like a scared little kitten.
I'm warning you, I know karate. He laughed and tried to grab my purse. No, back off! I don't know what would have happened if he hadn't appeared in the alley.
Hey, she told you to back off!
Thank you.
What are you doing here?
He offered to walk me home so that I wouldn't get in trouble again. We got to talking. And you know what? He surprised me again. Kyle turned out to be quite nice and well-educated. I was so confused. Why are you always so rude to everyone at school?
Well, I'm acting that way on purpose. I wanted to be expelled. I should be earning money, not wasting time at school. What? Well, here's your house. Good night, Bev.
Kyle smiled mysteriously and left. He was such a weirdo. The next day at school, Dean suddenly started flirting with me again. Can you imagine? Are you feeling all right? Where's your toxic princess?
You mean Grace? We broke up.
Dean apologized for acting like a jerk and invited me to a party at the golf club. Our families were going to hang out there just like in the good old days. I was still mad at him. However, I decided to give him one last chance and forgive him, especially since he seemed gutted after his breakup. The same couldn't be said about Grace. That viper was already flirting with Kyle. To be honest, I was a little jealous. I showed up at the club in my best outfit. Our parents were happy to see us together. After all, they'd always believed we were meant for each other. But you know what? When Dean hugged me, there were no butterflies in my stomach. I didn't feel anything at all, even though I had been pining for my friend for a long time. And then, Grace and her parents showed up at the party. Dean started fussing and said he would bring us drinks. He was gone for too long, so I went looking for him and accidentally overheard his conversation with Grace. Oh, I'll do anything to get you back.
I'm sorry, but that's just not gonna happen. I caught a bigger fish. Oh, here's my rich prince.
Kyle walked in. Grace pushed Dean away and ran to him. However, when the guests parted, it turned out that Kyle was just serving them drinks. Wait, was he?
A waiter? Are you kidding me?
What's wrong with that? I need money. Why did you even think I was rich? Now move. I have work to do. Grace was furious.
I was flirting with a beggar? You made me look like an idiot. And you're going to pay for it, Kyle.
I spent the whole evening looking for the right moment to talk to Kyle, but he was too busy. And then I saw my dad take him aside. They talked about something for a long time. I couldn't hear a word because of the noise, but they both looked grim. I started to follow Kyle after the party to figure out how he was connected to my father.
Ah, damn it. Spying on someone in heels is not easy.
Soon, we got to a bad neighborhood. I followed Kyle into an alley and saw that he lived in a tent right on the street. Can you imagine? I tried to ask him why, but Kyle got very angry.
Did you follow me here?
Do you need help?
Thanks, I'll manage. Get out of here and stay out of my business.
Ugh, he was such a stubborn fool. Why were all the guys around me such jerks? At home, I asked Dad how he'd met Kyle, but he said he couldn't talk about it. Were they kidding me? Kyle didn't show up at school the next day. By lunchtime, I started to worry and decided to talk to Dean about it. However, when I found him in the dining room, I couldn't believe my eyes.
What the hell, Dean? What are you doing?
Sorry, girl, but he's my boyfriend now.
We're back together.
Oh, Grace. That stinker had apparently found out that Kyle wasn't rich and got back with Dean. That was just like her. However, I was really disappointed in my friend. You follow her around like a faithful dog. It's pathetic.
Ow! Oh, my leg! Oh, that hurt!
Oh, please, quit whining. It seemed the laptop had hit Dean hard. He even started to limp, but I didn't care anymore. I was going to storm out of school, but then I heard something interesting. Mr. Downey, Kyle didn't come to school today. He's not at home either. That poor boy. He's been through so much. That was weird. What was he talking about? What had Kyle had to go through? And where was he anyway? There was only one place I could think of, so I ran to that bad neighborhood. I didn't have to look for long. I immediately noticed Kyle, who was washing someone's expensive car.
That'll be $10, sir.
Why weren't you at school today? Everyone was looking for you.
I couldn't come. Just leave.
If you don't tell me what's going on, I'll tell Mr. Downey where to find you. Kyle sighed heavily and told me his story. It turned out that his parents had recently lost their jobs. They didn't have enough money to pay rent, and a bank was going to take their house away soon. Kyle's mom got into a psychiatric hospital because of all the stress, and his dad got depressed and did nothing for days on end. Kyle constantly argued with him and eventually decided to live on the street.
I have a younger brother. If I don't earn any money, we will lose our home and he will end up in an orphanage.
That's horrible! Have child services done anything to help?
They transferred me to your school because I did everything to be expelled from my previous one. Studying takes time, but I need to work. Now, the teachers go easy on me because of what I went through.
How do you know my father?
When my mom had a nervous breakdown, your dad came over and put her in the clinic.
I had no idea that Kyle was dealing with so much stuff. It was terrible. I had to do something to help. I tried to convince Kyle that if he studied, he would find a better job in the future, especially since he was so great at physics. The next day, I was putting things in my locker when Kyle suddenly came up to me.
Hey, I think you're right. I used to like studying. Do you want to do a science project together?
That's a great idea! I'm so glad you're back. Oh, wow, you're perfect for each other. Not everyone gets the best. Not all that glitters is gold. Walk on. That wasn't the end of it. At recess, I saw Kyle anxiously looking for something.
I can't find my hoodie.
After classes, the principal came up to him in the hallway. He was clearly furious.
Kyle, we've been very lenient with you, but this time, you've gone too far.
What do you mean, Mr. Downey? Kyle stole money and a phone from my locker.
What? I didn't.
Mr. Downey, I heard him say he needed money. We went to the security room and looked at the surveillance footage. Someone in Kyle's hoodie had indeed rummaged through Grace's locker. That's not Kyle. He was with me at that time. That was when I noticed something strange. The thief on the screen was limping. I remembered the laptop falling on Dean's right leg and immediately realized we had to check his backpack. And you know what? Grace's money and phone as well as Kyle's hoodie were in it. Surprise! Oh, you should have heard Dean try to justify his actions. He said that Grace had put him up to it. But that cunning girl would have never admitted to it. He's lying! I later found out that she kept trying to date rich guys because her family was on the verge of bankruptcy. We proved Kyle was innocent. His mom went on the mend and was going to be discharged soon. And his father got help at my dad's clinic and easily found a new job. The bank stopped trying to make them move out of their house. Kyle's brother wouldn't have to go to the orphanage either. Now, Kyle could go back to his normal teenage life and studies. That made me happy because he was very smart. We were writing a physics paper when, well, you get it, right? As for Dean, he keeps apologizing for what happened. Bev, come on, we're childhood friends. On the one hand, he's right, but on the other,